I am so pleased to go to our VIP line, and joining us for, I think, the first time since she was sworn in as a new member of Congress, Republican representing the 3rd Congressional District, Lauren Boebert. Lauren, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. I had no idea it's been that long. You and I talk every now and then when something comes up. You know, we shoot each other a message, and I had no idea it'd been that long since I've been on the air with you.
Well, you've been a little busy.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I was sworn in January 3rd as a United States representative, and this has been the longest year of my life.
I bet. How many times have you been home since you've been sworn in?
Just probably under 5. It's been few and far between. I'm actually in Pueblo this part of the week, and I brought 2 of my boys. I picked my favorites for the week, and and I took half of them, and it's been really great there. We have the Center for American Values here in Pueblo, and I took my boys there to look at these heroes who are Congressional Medal of Honor recipients, and to hear their stories, and it's just so captivating to hear of the heroism that has taken place for our country.
Fantastic. You're raising them right. This is more of a personal question than a political one, but what does it feel like in D.C. right now? I grew up around there. I've been in D.C. a lot, and I see these pictures on the news of the fences and all that stuff. What does it feel like?
Shawshank Redemption. I need to get my rock hammer and my Bible and smuggle one in. I mean, really, it's the hypocrisy there is on full display. We hear from the Democrats how walls don't work. Walls are immoral. They're a disgrace. And yet they have erected this big, beautiful wall around our nation's capital. Why? Because you protect what you love, and they love themselves. So they put this wall, this fence, this razor wire all around our nation's capital. And, President Trump wanted a wall around America because he loves America. He loves the American people. And that's what he loves and wanted to protect. So they had no problem putting that up there. We have armed National Guard who are still breaking in garages, by the way. After all of that upheaval, everyone was so upset that we see hundreds of National Guards in this freezing cold parking garage. And it was just, there was only a remedy for a temporary amount of time. They're back in there. Why? Because Nancy Pelosi does not want to see them. She doesn't want to see them in the hallway. She's forcing them to be there, but doesn't want to look in their eyes because she knows that it's useless, it's pointless, it's a waste of tax dollars, it's a waste of their service to have them there. There's no need for them there. We have BLM marching in the streets of Washington, D.C. Why? Let's stop that. This is the hypocrisy on full display. Democrats have normalized violence. They've used violence. They've fundraised it off of it. And they've proven it to be an effective tool to advance their agenda. They don't care about violence in the streets. They say that it's mostly peaceful. And then they bail out these criminals who are engaged in these violent acts, attacking police officers, burning down businesses that are barely making it through a pandemic and ruining American families' lives.
So, Lauren, let me jump in here just for a sec. So, and I want to get to a lot of stuff. So let's go with some slightly short answers, if we can. But I should.
Got me worked up, Ron.
I know, I can tell. I always love your energy. I should know the answer to this question, but I don't. Whose decision is it to keep that fencing up and to keep the National Guard there? Do you know?
Nancy Pelosi.
It is? So she could say, take the stuff away?
Absolutely. Just like she put the metal detectors in front of the House chambers.
Don't get me started. I saw the news story where, she did that because she thought you were maybe carrying a Glock 43, and then she got in trouble the other day because she went around them. It was hilarious.
Yes, I expect $5,000 to be deducted from her salary.
I bet you do. I do too. All right. Look, one of the things that I've noticed in a very positive way about what you've been doing in recent weeks is you've been turning a lot towards policy. And I want to talk to you about a couple of policy things. And I want to start with energy. For people who don't know, Lauren Boebert's district, CD3, not only does it have a lot of energy production, well, it has a lot of energy production, and also, just as a separate fact, it is somewhere between 47 and 48% of the total land mass of Colorado is in that one congressional district. So keep that in mind when we're talking with Lauren. We're not talking about someone who represents a densely populated, mostly urban or mostly suburban district. Okay, so energy policy and Joe Biden, go.
Well, the Biden administration has waged an all-out attack on responsible energy production and fossil fuels. This president is pursuing ideology and partisan policies contained in the Green New Deal, and he's trying to kill the oil and gas industry with a flick of his pen. I had a post at one point saying, somebody please hide the pins from Joe, but sometimes he has a hard time finding them himself. It's really devastating to see all of these executive orders come through the White House from someone who said he wanted unity, he wanted to work with Congress. We aren't even able to debate these issues in the people's house and vote on them. He's canceling the permits. He's putting forward these moratoriums to cancel permits, the Keystone XL pipeline. It's devastating for our energy workers.
What does it mean specifically for your district? Take it down from the national level and talk about someone representing CD3.
Energy is one of the biggest industries here in CD3. We are more than 55% federal lands, and we have some of the world's richest resources right here in our district. And if we aren't extracting those resources here safely and responsibly in an environmentally friendly way, well, then someone else is going to do it. And we're going to be outsourcing to China and Africa, where we know they don't have those regulations. Ross, I've talked to you about this. They have child and slave labor. We're going to have children mining with their bare hands in the Congo because of these executive orders, rather than doing it safely and responsibly here. And it not only affects those energy workers and our energy independence in America, but it goes all the way down to the small business owners and families. In my restaurant, I know things are going really well when there's mud to clean up off of my floors, because that means our economy is doing great. And we have those oil field workers coming in and patronizing our businesses.
Wow, that's a great, what's the word? Indicator. That's a great indicator. The mud on the floor indicator. I imagine right now it's not the easiest thing in Washington D.C. for Democrats and Republicans to work together on much, but it does seem like you're working with a couple of Democrats on trying to keep BLM in Grand Junction. What's going on with that, and is there a real move right now to move it away from Grand Junction, or is this sort of more of a protective thing on your part?
There have certainly been a lot of threats from the new Department of Interior Secretary. It's something that was immediately threatened, that they would relocate the Bureau of Land Management headquarters back to Washington, D.C. So I've been working in a bipartisan manner, because this issue shouldn't be political. It should be about the BLM providing its best service to the American people, being right there where the land is and their decisions is impacted the most, and they can be a part of that experience. It's pretty clear that the BLM can best serve our country by getting out of D.C. and engaging with those who are affected by these rules and decisions. On my first call with Governor Jared Polis, this was the very first policy item that we mentioned, and he didn't think that there would be an issue getting this full delegation on board with this. And right now, everyone is advocating to keep this headquarter in Grand Junction, and it also means millions of dollars are saved by the taxpayers. Mm-hmm. We don't want to spend those millions to relocate it again. And finally, I do want to commend the Grand Junction Economic Partnership for engaging in this issue. They organized a collaborative effort with local, state, and federal representatives. And Robin did a fantastic job putting that together and really making the case of why that needs to stay there and keep the at least 41 jobs that are currently in Grand Junction because of this location.
All right, let me switch gears with you. A few days ago, I saw a tweet from someone questioning your mileage reimbursement. And I said, well, look, I was in touch with Lauren a lot during the campaign. And without fail, when I was in touch with her, she was somewhere in this district that is almost 50,000 square miles or whatever. It's a massive district. And so the media is still writing about this. Do you want to say anything to dispense with this once and for all?
Sure. Ross, you know more than anyone. I drove tens of thousands of miles all throughout the district. I was somewhere new every single day. And, they want to come against me for legitimate expenses. Go ahead. I am doing the work of the people. I had to make those connections. And really, I underreported a lot of stuff, but it was important for me to be with the people in the district, and it's a massive district. And then also one thing that my friend and now coworker and driver were discussing about this, because she drove more than 30,000 miles in my vehicle. I'm so grateful for her, able to do a lot of work while she was doing the driving. But another thing that happened was those fires right there in the Glenwood Canyon, and it just so happened that when we had that week or so of fires, we had to take the long way to get from Rifle to Edwards, which should be a 40-minute drive. It took us nearly 7 hours to go around it. I mean, absurd. And it's like, can we cancel this event? No, we can't. We're going to be with these people. They set this up for us. We will make a way where there is no way. And not only that, so I ended up getting a new vehicle in 2020. And from July to November, I had to get a whole new set of tires. I drove the tires off my car.
So just last thing on this. If somebody like official comes to you and says, can you show us where you kept records of your mileage? Yes. You got something you can hand them? I absolutely do. Okay. And that's not something I'm giving to the reporters. Maybe if I liked them, I would show them a little something. But if there's absolutely, All right, I don't need to spend more time on that. I wanted to just give you a chance to answer, since the Denver Post seems to be coming after you on that thing. I'm curious how you are thinking about, this is a question I asked Scott Gessler. I assume you know Scott. He's trying to become chairman of the Republican Party here in Colorado. And I asked him, what is the Republican brand right now? And I'd like to get your take on that. The Republican brand right now better be the American people. Freedom and prosperity is what we need to be pushing forward. And right now, I'm just amazed at how the Democrats band together on everything. And then I look at our party, and we have 10, we have 11, just breaking ranks. And for the reasons, the excuses were given for that, it's just mind-boggling. And then you look over at the Senate, and we hear one of the senators saying, "Oh, well, I don't believe that Trump's attorney did a good job, so the other team did a good job, so I'm going to vote that this is constitutional." No, that's not what you're voting on. And so just these excuses of why Republicans vote with Democrats and appease the left in their voting, it's just beyond me. But America First policies is why I'm involved, and I want the American people to have opportunities, and I want them to live the American dream. And so that's what I'm here fighting for. Isn't it possible that go along to get along kind of stuff is very worthy of criticism when you're talking about, let's say, Republicans going along with Democrats on spending and tax policy? But I would think that the 10 people who voted, for example, in the House to impeach the president, that was a difficult vote for them, and that was a vote of conscience. And I don't really see that as appeasing the Democrats, and nor with Senator Cassidy. I don't know if you watched the lawyers yesterday, but Trump's lawyers were really unprepared and bad, and the Democrat lawyers won the argument. And I don't see it as the vote was constitutional, right? And so you don't get to look and say, sure, take into consideration what they're offering, but they're asking, is this constitutional to proceed? And those votes of conscience, I'm kind of tired of that excuse. The president was denied his Fourth Amendment right. There were no hearings. We didn't discuss this. This was a snap sham impeachment. So on that basis alone, I don't care if you hate Donald Trump's guts. There is no way that your conscience could allow you to take that vote and say that you're standing on the Constitution to defend your vote of conscience when the president wasn't even allowed his Fourth Amendment right. Lauren Boebert, fiery as always. I'm so glad you're traveling with your kids and showing them some great stuff. I think that's a wonderful thing to do. And thanks so much for taking time to join us this morning, Lauren. Appreciate it. Of course. Thanks, Ross. All right, we'll see you. Tell Shannon hi. Okay, he heard you say that. All right, he's waving. Bye, Lauren. Thank you. All right. Lauren Boebert joining us from Pueblo, Colorado, which is in her congressional district, Colorado's 3rd congressional district. It's it's something. There's actually a piece at the Colorado Sun entitled "A Fluke or the Future." Representative Lauren Boebert shakes up her Colorado district. Anyway, thanks to Lauren for joining the show, and we'll be right back on the Ross Kaminsky Show.
This is Denver's talk station with Ross Kaminsky now. Michael Brown at 2, 630 KHOW, Denver.